congratulations for that recognition, which brings us to another sort of level of this discussion. Innovation by its nature, to a certain extent, is a very dynamic area. For many, it's not just about the complexity of issues related to decent work, but also it's about the fact that to stay competitive, it's a little bit of a moving target. So maybe we can say a few words about what would constitute a supportive scaffolding for this kind of innovation in the platform economy that's actually conducive to decent working conditions across all platforms that promote employment in this new way.
I already heard at a keynote speech this morning that it's essential to give workers a voice, because only if you really listen to what they experience in their all-day work, only then can you really take this into account as a platform. Or if you do not want to take it into account as a platform because you first want to scale, and then you leave it to the regulator to kind of make sure that workers start to enjoy job rights, then still there needs to be the voice that is heard. So I do think that either within the existing social dialogue of a country or through a specific platform-driven unions, it is important that workers have a right. And then next to that, there is also the question, and I think here there is really also the responsibility on the part of the platforms to kind of see how you want to develop your business model. We have these business models by Uber, where what the company wants to do is just to scale and to become big first, without caring about different labor standards between economies. But then there are companies like Zenjob, which start with the approach, so to say, of seeing what is possible in this country at a legislative level, and how can we take this into account. So I do also think that it is importantly also up to the platforms to kind of use their entrepreneurial freedom to build products and to build platforms or transaction of labor that caters the need of the labor market for flexibility, while honoring the different legislative frameworks within countries. So I also see a lot of responsibility there on the part.
Talking about the platforms, one aspect of this debate has focused on whether or not this is a promotional tool, innovation that actually relies on jobs that are already in existence, but only delivered in a new innovative way, or whether the platform economy is actually contributing new jobs to the economy. And I think that's a good sort of introduction to ask Frederik about what experience has been at Zenjob. How, not just about the nature of the jobs, but about the question really, if you can, expand the answer on to focus on the importance of skill building for this new platform economy. We used to be more focused, perhaps that's a generalizing statement, on traditional qualifications, on degrees, etc. Whereas now in the platform economy, there's reviews, there's skill sets, micro credentials, a slightly different kind of lean in terms of what constitutes the preconditions of success. So maybe that gives you an opportunity to say how at Zenjob you look at this skill enhancement for improving the quality of jobs and the prospects of people to develop their careers.
And how you can be specifically basically prepared also for a job. Right? I think that is also something we just learned in the last 20, 30, 40 years. It's, as you mentioned, the degrees, right? It's always a bit this shiny door or CV or whatever you want to show to someone. But in the end, does that make you be qualified to do a job as a cashier? Probably not. But it's rather the skill set of the individual job as a cashier or something else, which also we are trying to prepare you for. So for us, training is a crucial part of the journey, meaning that you as a talent joining Zenjob basically as an external employee, if you want, we are always trying to prepare you the best way possible to the job you need to do, whatever that is, to be honest. Because I think that is also one thing, the beauty of the platform economy. It is very, very, very broad. For us, for example, we do have lots of old school jobs. It's not that we created completely new jobs out of the blue, which were not existing before. No, we are in the service industry, we are in retail, but there are huge concerts then in Hamburg where you can support and listen, also maybe tune in a bit to the music. So there's lots of classic job, but I think it's not always about changing the job in itself, but it's how you are treated and how you can access the job. And what about your, how much do you earn? How are you entitled also to ensure that you're treated well? And if you look at a platform economy, I think especially we realize that often talking also more to the scientific field, is that sometimes you see that there's a certain view on this topic that 1,000 things need to change. I disagree. I think what needs to change is that there will be always jobs as long as they're not automated. And when we founded Zenjob, people were always telling us, yeah, but this kind of a job, helping hands and so on, this is going to be gone tomorrow anyway. Well, I mean, we're doing this now for 7 years and it's still there. And I think it will also take some time. But what needs to change is the respect you have for someone doing that kind of a job and the way that person is entitled to do the job and have the decent earnings and so on. And platform economy is also so big in its term because you have digital work, you have on-site work, you can do it on a high qualified level, you can do it with a low qualified level, but in the end it doesn't really matter. It's really just about to acknowledge it's there, it's here to stay. I think you have now around 28 million people in Europe doing platform work, and in 3 years this might be around 45 million. And we need to find some legislative solutions for that to have in place, because I agree also with you, it is also for the platforms to decide how do they want to do it and what's going to be the right format. But at the same time, if you don't get the support, it's basically by legislation to say, let's take Europe, right? We have finding a understanding of how we want to do this here. It will be quite difficult also for us as a platform. We are active in Germany, in the Netherlands, in the UK. Every time it's completely a new thing to do, and that also feels sometimes a bit wrong.
Can I add something on
Please go ahead.
skills? Because I do think it's a very important question of the skills that you need for doing gig work and where you get these skills from. And you also mentioned that one possibly needs to distinguish a lot between the different sectors and industries. And in particular, my work focuses on these more online jobs where people use a computer to do their work, contrary to most of your gig workers, I guess, who do more on-site work where you go to the place of the requester. And what's very interesting, even in this high-skill computer-based online segment, is that traditional diploma help very little in gig worker success. So people with a higher degree do not earn more than people without a degree. And this differs fundamentally from traditional labor markets. And as a consequence, it means that the skills that the gig workers need come either, and a lot through autodidactic training. So we have talked to them and we have asked, so what skills do you need, where do they come from? And we realized that they come a lot from autodidactic learning through looking at video clips or going to different websites, sometimes also through trial and error approaches. And I think here we also see the responsibility and the opportunities of platforms through platforms, because platforms are the ones that knows what kind of skills their workers need. Platforms are the ones that can then skill them accordingly. And given that basically the traditional education system here does not help, or at least not help to the extent that it helps the traditional, this is another responsibility where platforms can tap in. And I also do think acquire talent. So if you offer a good skill policy, if you can show that you can skill the people and that the way in which you do it help them to get good jobs and good income, you will also attract new resources. So I do think that there is a lot of opportunity both for platforms and for workers.